Say, well, Pastor, get back to praying. Have you been on vacation? It's time that you're in your vacation. But it's very, very important that you come back. Is that on the day of Pentecost when the church come into existence? The church came into existence through prayer. They was all in the upper room praying. And the Bible said, suddenly, there came a sound from heaven, not from earth, not from around the earth, but it said there came a sound from heaven as of a mighty rushing wind. So listen carefully. Listen carefully this morning. Because if you don't listen carefully, you might miss that sound. And if you miss that sound, you might miss your bus pass. So listen very carefully this morning. Because what God told us, he told the Israelites. And what he told the Israelites, he told us, and he have never changed it. It have always been the same. Because the Bible says God don't change. So if God doesn't change, his word doesn't change. Because in the beginning was the word. And the word was with God. And the word was God. So God is not going to change. The word is not going to change. So listen carefully, because what he told Israel is what he told us. The difference was we have the power to fight it off. They didn't, but we do. So he entrusted you with power that you're going to either use or not use. So listen carefully this morning. Because what you hear could deliver you. And what you don't hear can keep you in bondage. So listen carefully, because what you hear can heal you, and what you don't hear, you can remain sick. So listen carefully, because what you hear can deliver you, and what you don't hear can keep you in bondage. Woo, God's word is so good. Amen. So see, listen carefully, because you might miss something if you don't listen. And what you miss might cost you. He told Israel the same thing he's going to tell you right now. That's a powerful word. Listen carefully, because he said, if see, he's talking to you, and he asked you a question. He said, if you love me. He said, if you love me. You see, if is a conjunction. And what a conjunction does is connects two things. So he's saying, if you love me, you'll be connected to me. But if you don't love me, then you're not connected to me. So he said, if ye love me, he said, keep my commandments. Now see, are you listening? He told Israel the same thing. He is not telling you anything that he didn't tell Israel. He told them, Moses in Deuteronomy said, see? For us, he said, F, you love me. For them, he said, now see. See what, Moses? See, I have set before thee this day. He told us, if you love me, keep my commandment. But he told them, now see, today I'm going to set something before you. He said, I'm going to set before you this day life and good. But then he come back and he said, and death and evil. So if you connected to him, it's going to be good. But if you're not connected to him, he told Israel, it's going to be evil. So he told them the same thing that he's telling us. But to them, he's saying, life is good. Death is evil. He's real simple. He's not fancy. He just tell you like it is. In other words, if you want to live, stay in me, and it'll be good. Amen. If you want to die, get out of me, and it's going to be evil. Now, isn't that simple? I mean, you can ask me if they know somebody that stay with me, and everything going to be good. Get out of me, and everything going to be bad. But he didn't stop there. He told them this, and that I command thee this day to love the Lord thy God, to love him, and to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments, and his statutes, and his judgment, that ye might live and multiply. Now that sounds so easy, doesn't it? Doesn't it sound easy? He said, walk in my way, love me, walk in my ways, keep my commandments, and I'm going to multiply anything that you touch. Are you listening? Are you listening carefully? And then he says, and the Lord thy God shall what? Shall bless thee and the land whether thou goest to possess it. In other words, he's saying, I'm going to bless you when you get there. And I'm going to bless you because you're walking in my statutes, you're walking in my ways, you're keeping my commandments, and you show me that you love me. So if you don't walk in my ways, if you don't keep my commandments, then you don't love me, and I can't bless you. That's very simple, isn't it? See, when you give your life to God, you are entering into a relationship. You ever know what a relationship is? A relationship is when two people come together and think that they love each other and spend time together to make sure that it is a good relationship. And through that relationship, you will find out if you want to say, I do, or if you want to go on and say, I don't. But that's what a relationship is. It is to get to know the person that you're going to spend your life with for an eternity. Now, there's some good jokers out there that can keep you and fool you and make you think that they're good. But that's why we have 3-year engagements. Three-year engagements, you're going to find out everything. You'll know everything about them. Marriages don't normally go 3 years. Statistics say that there's a high percentage of divorces before people marry 3 years. You spend those 2 months developing a relationship and get married and divorced before 3 years. There are people that walk into God's house and feel the presence of God and the goodness of God, and they get the Holy Ghost and they start a relationship and walk out and never come back no more. But God has got some, just like wedding vows, he has some vows too. He said, if you love me, he said, walk in my ways. If you love me, he said, keep my commandments and my statutes. If you love me, then everything you touch will be multiplied. But then, he said, but yet it word is again. But if thou turn thy heart away, if you turn your heart away, he said you have to turn your heart away. And how do you turn your heart away? By not praying. Amen. By not praying. That's how you turn your heart away. By not developing that relationship deeper than what it is. You get to looking at other things. And when you get to looking at other things, you forget about that thing that you got. You know what? Some people love going to big churches because nobody know your business. You do anything you want to do and nobody know your business. That's why some people like big, huge churches. Because you get lost and nobody will know your business. But in a small church, everybody know your business. No, am I right or wrong? In a small church, everybody know your business. They know when you're not praying and when you're praying. They do. They know it. You ain't deceiving nobody in a small church. In a big one, you know what? You can get away with a lot of stuff in a big church. Because the pastor's not at the door to see you when you walk in. But in a little small one, everybody can see you. But what they fail to realize is even in a huge church, God still sees them. He can see an ant rolling down the road. And if he can see an ant, surely he can see us. That's why he gives us commandments to follow. And he said, if you love me, keep my commandments. The marriage vows that, do you, John, take Mary to be your lawful wedded wife, to love and to cherish? Right? Those are the vows. And the very end, and the thing is they repeat them after you. You know why we have them to repeat them? So they can hear what they're saying. And then then they say these 2 famous words. I do. Those are some powerful words. Because when you say I do, you simply saying, I do get rid of myself. Because if you don't get rid of yourself, I do don't mean nothing. See, you have to get rid of yourself before you can accept your partner. As long as you keep yourself, you will not accept your partner. So you have to go and they have to move in. In other words, you move out, they move in. And what God is telling you here, he said, if you don't let me move in, you're going to turn your heart away from me. The only way I can keep your heart is if I move in. If you don't let God move in, then you will turn away. You can play the game for a while. We all are good actors. We didn't go to acting school, but we all are good actors. We can woo, 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 and jump and have ourselves, but you're only going to last for so long. Because the whole time you're playing around, God is going to be dealing with you. And pretty soon you're going to say, God, move in, or you're going to move out. You sit at the door and you tell that man, that woman, you listen, hon, either you're going to move in this house or you move out of this house. But I'm not going to have you running in all hours of the night. We going to get this taken care of. Either you move in or you move out. You make the decision. God is saying either you let me move in or you going to move out. But you have to make that decision. You have to make that decision because you're going to get tired of wondering what he had, what he doing, who is he with, who is she with, how they acting, they spending the money. You know, you're going to get tired after a while. And God is saying, he's saying, listen, if you don't let me move in, you will go back to where you came from. That is true, amen. Why is it that when you go look for somebody, you go back to the same place you got them from? Woo! You don't go looking no, you go back to the same place you got them from because you know that's why they're going to. I'll talk to him this morning. So if you don't let God move in, why are you going to back to the same old place you came from? But then he said this. He said, when you turn away from me so that thou wilt not hear me. When you turn away from me, you will not hear me. So listen carefully this morning. Because a lot of people say they hear God, but you don't know what God you're listening to. See, he said, when you turn away, you won't hear me. He said, but thou shalt be drawn away. All right, come on now. But listen to what he said. And worship other gods and serve them. So in other words, he's saying, when you turn away from me, you will never hear what I have to say to you. And when you don't hear me, you're going to go back out there and you don't even know you're serving and worshiping other gods, but you are. Because if you're not worshiping him, then you're worshiping the gods of this world. He's very simple. He said, because you're drawn away by the things of the world. Simply because you didn't listen carefully. When you listen carefully, when mom tell you, honey, treat that man with respect. And dad tell that boy, you better get him to go to work. Because if you don't go to work, you can't provide for your family. So see, he have to listen to what dad said, and she better listen to what mom said, and you all better listen to what God say. He said, you worship other gods and serve them. But watch what he said here. He said, I denounce another. He said, I want to make an announcement to you. I want to declare something to you this day. I want to declare unto you this day that ye shall surely perish. What he said, listen, when you serve other gods, he said, mark this down. Listen very carefully. This is what he said. You shall surely perish. That word surely means sure enough. Yeah, isn't that better? Okay. So other words, he said, I want to make an announcement to you. Moses talking to Israel. He said, I want to make an announcement to you. When you worship other gods and you run away of your own lust, he said, I'm making an announcement to you. You are going to perish. Because you cannot make it worshiping other gods. Not only, he said, and that ye shall not prolong your days upon the land, whether thou possesseth or with Jordan to go to possess it. You know what he's saying? Forget about the land. Jesus said that I go to prepare a place for you, that where I am, ye shall be also. But if you decide not to serve me, then you're not going to possess it. It's like I go and build your house. You marry my kid or my daughter or my son, and I go build your mansion in Beverly Hills. And I said, now, as long as you are married, that's your house. But then you decide that you don't want to be faithful and get married. So you can ride by that house every day and look at it. But it's not yours. Because you can't possess it. And the reason why you can't possess it because you have turned your heart to somebody else. You've turned your heart away to other things. You have turned your heart away from what you got, what's supposed to get you that. You turn your heart away from it so you don't possess it. So there are a lot of people sitting in church thinking they got a mansion. You didn't get that, did you? There are a lot of people sitting in church thinking they got a mansion, but the world have turned their heart away from God. So listen carefully to make sure that you still got your mansion. You need to ask God. But you need to ask God. You need to ask God if you are right. Because if you're not right, you're not going to possess your mansion. But then he says, I like this part. He didn't just say it. He said, but today I call heaven and earth to record what I'm telling you. In other words, heaven and earth is my witness. Witness against you. Because of what I'm telling you is so important that I need you to listen carefully. Because if you don't listen carefully, I got to have a witness which says that I told you. And there's no better witness than heaven and earth. that I have set before you life and death. Boy, this is powerful. You better listen this morning, because if you walk out this building, you got no excuse. So you better listen. He said, I've set before you life and death. He didn't just stop. He said, blessings and cursing. He said, all this before you. The way he did Israel, he did the same thing to me and you. When he said, if ye love me, keep my command, he's done the same thing that Israel, that Moses did to them. He said, I'm telling you what you got to do. God haven't changed. He says that, therefore, he's trying to help us here. He's trying to help us out. The Bible says God is all-knowing, all-seeing, all-powerful, omnipresent. He's everywhere. So he's trying to help you out here, because he's telling you, therefore, choose. Choose life. He's helping you. Some people have a hard time making choices. So God's, I'm going to help you. Some people, should I not? He's, I'm going to help you. No, that's what he said. He said, I'm going to help you. He said, choose life. If you believe me, then choose what I tell you to choose. He said, choose life. Now, yeah, here's the catch that caught my attention when I was looking at this morning. He said, choose life. And then he said, that both you and your kids may live. So it is not just affecting you, it's also affecting your kids. So he said, make the right choice, because whatever choice you make is going to affect your kids too. Wow, now that's powerful. Nobody want to make a choice that's going to send their kids, I got to say it, to hell. And the choice you make can send them to heaven or to hell on the choice that you make. Because there are people today say, well, it was good enough for my grandma, so it's good enough for me. Grandma can go to the store and get 2 jack cookies for a penny and have enough for a meal. You can't buy no jack cookies for no penny. That's those big old round wagon wheels we call them back in that day. You all know what I'm talking about. But they are about that big, and you can get 2 of them for a penny. That was a meal. We call them wagon wheel cookies. See, we could do that. You can't do that. You can walk out the door with $80 and walk out with 1 bag. And have room for some more stuff. You follow what I'm talking about? I can walk in the store back in the 50s and I spend $50. I got a whole big basket, and I need to have people to help me carry it. But now you're going to get a couple of pieces of meat and some bacon powder and soda, and they ring it up, and I'm going, why, that much? But see, your decision that you make is going to affect your kids. The world has got this old saying, do as I say, not as I do. You going to sit there and tell your kids not to drink and not to smoke, and you doing it? You going to tell your kids not to lie, not to go do that, and you do it? You are teaching them what life is about. You spend 10 hours in the mirror, you think that girl not going to spend 10 hours in the mirror? Even if she ain't doing nothing, she going to spend 10 hours in the mirror. Because mama spent 10 hours in the mirror. If dad walk around and do nothing, that boy going to walk around and do nothing. Because they going to follow you. And if you come to church and hear the word of God and go back home and do what you always did, and the little girl just said, I thought the pastor said you weren't supposed to do that, Ma. Dad, I thought the pastor, well, he don't know what he's talking about. You just hurt yourself. You just hurt yourself. Because when that kid needs prayer and that pastor gonna put his hand, he said, well, Mom said you don't care. Or Dad said you don't care. So see, the kid is got what you said. It's just like your job. Your boss tell you to do something, and you go talk to somebody, I don't know who you think you're talking to. You better be careful who you're talking to. You better be careful about who you talk to on your job, because you think that's your best friend. That sure was his enemy. So you better be very careful who you telling all of your secrets to. Because you tell your secret to this person back in before you get out of your office, he's telling the boss what you said. So you better know. He said, but blessed is that therefore choose life, that both you and your seed may live. See, God is trying to help you this morning, because the choices you make going to affect your family. But then he says, that thou may love the Lord thy God, and that thou mayest obey his voice. Now, here's the problem. If there is no relationship, how can you obey his voice? So if there is no relationship, how can you obey his voice? Because you're not going to know his voice. You know, I always wondered, how is it that Jacob worked 7 years to get Rachel? And on the night that he was married, he got Leah. Surely he had to talk to Rachel during that time. Surely he had to talk to her to know her voice. Surely he had to. And I wonder, how did you not know that that wasn't Rachel? How did her dad pull that off on you, Jacob? I know they was all cut. I know that, but how did he, 7 years, he had to talk to Rachel how many times a day? And the biggest night of his life, he didn't know it was not Rachel. How is that possible? How is that possible that he did not know Rachel? Is it possible that the dad got him so drunk, that he did not know what he was doing? Is it possible? Is it possible? Something had to let him know. It was the next morning when he woke up and looked. Surely, during that time, something had to, it don't smell like Rachel. Something had to, was he that drunk that he did not know it? She didn't whisper in his ear? She didn't say something to let him know that it was not her. But my brothers and sisters, this is what the world do to you. This is what the world do to you. It is so subtle that it got you so buried into it until you can't even tell where you are. Until you wake up and realize, how did I get out here? Out of the church to out here. How did this happen? How did it that I did not realize where I was? Are you that drunk with the things of the world that you can't realize God is not there? Are you so drunk and so polluted with the things of the world that you can't realize it's not God? Oh, hear me this morning. And you wake up and realize, how did I get out here? Jacob had to wake up and say, how did I get this woman? So he had to wait another 7 years. $14 years he had to wait to get the woman that he loved. When the word take you, how long is it going to take you to get back? Sometimes never. Because you see, you need to understand something. You can't come back when you want to.
That's right. That's right.
You can't just turn around and say, I'm gonna go back to church. It doesn't work that way. It's like when you mess up on somebody. Well, I'm gonna go back to my wife. You can't go back. It ain't that way. You had your opportunity. You can't come back unless they're willing to take you back. You can't come back. The Bible says you can only come if the Spirit of God throw you back. If the Spirit of God don't throw you back, you ain't coming back. You can come here, you can sit here, you can slap your hands, you can stomp your feet, you can amen, but you're not back. Because you don't know his voice. And that thou might cleave, and that you might get a hold of him. And when you get a hold of him, you say, I'm not going to let you go. Jacob said, I got you, and I'm not going to let you go. It took me a long time to get you to come here, and I'm not going to let you go until you bless me. And that blessing going to tell me I'm back in God's house. That blessing going to tell me I'm back in God's favor. That blessing going to tell me I'm here forever. I'm not going to let you go, God, until you bless me. We're going to fight all night long, but I'm not going to let you go until you bless me. When you come back to God, you need to get a hold of God and say, God, I'm not going to let you go until you do something in my life to let me know that everything is all right. When that man or that woman mess up and finally they decide to come back and say, I want to make things right, there's a process that they have to go through. Oh, speak to me, Pastor. That's a process. If he willing to take him back or she willing to take him back, it's a process. What is the process? Here's the process. I don't want you hanging around no more women. I don't want you hanging around no more men. I want you home when you get off from work. I don't want you hanging out with the boys. Oh, y'all getting this? Are y'all getting this? I don't want you hanging out with the boys no more. I don't want you coming home late no more. I don't want to see you talking to no woman no more. Oh, pals, keep on going down the road. What are you doing? You telling me that I really want to be back. You telling me that I really want to make things right. You telling me that I'm sorry for what I did, and I'm giving you an opportunity to come back. Now you need to show me that you want to be back.
Right.
So be on time to church. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I shouldn't say it. Be on time when you go back to the house. Don't talk to no more women. Don't hang on them. Don't be walking on the phone talking and looking at her. Tell her who you're talking to.
Amen. Come on.
Because you got to prove to her that you love her now. You have to prove it. And how do you prove it? By doing what's right and cleaving on to her. That's how you prove that you want to come back. And when you come back to God, it's the same way. It's the same way. First with them, last one leave. I said, what about first with him, last one leave. First one at the altar, last one from the altar. First one in Bible study, first with last one. Why? Because you're showing God that you love him. You're showing God that you want to be him. You're showing God that you want to do what's right. Then he says, for he is thy life. So in other words, God is your life. Whether you want to realize it or not, he is your life. So you can realize that and have a good life or have a bad life. It's up to you. It's your choice. Then he says, that thou may dwell in the land which the Lord swore unto thy father, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give them. He promised us a place in heaven. He promised it to us. John says, if you keep my commandments, yeah, the word is again, if you keep my commandments, you shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. So Jesus, you know what? I kept my Father's commandments. So if I kept his commandments, shouldn't you not keep my commandments? Then he says, these things I've spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you, and that your joy may be full. So that is what he's saying. If I'm not in you, your joy is dead. Boy, you're making this real simple this morning, isn't it? In other words, if I'm in you, your joy will be full because of me. But if I'm not in you, don't worry about it. You ain't got no joy. You can laugh, smile, bring all the Johnny Walker you want, and you still ain't got no joy. You still miserable. I don't care how many you want to smoke, you still don't have no joy. Why? Because he's not there. And if he's not there, you don't have no joy. All you got is misery and pain. And he said, these things I have spoken unto you. He's speaking these things to you. Abide in my love. Keep my commandments. And I be your joy. But I can't be your joy if you divorce me. You see, God don't divorce you. You divorce him. Then he says, this is my commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friend. And Jesus said, ye are my what? He called you that. He called you that. You know why he called you his friend? Because he laid down his life for you. So there's no greater love than what he showed to you. And he said, now I'm going to give you a choice. Choose life. Why? Because I'm your friend. Because I laid down my life for you. So choose life. And if ye do whatsoever I command you, and that word is again, if you want to connect with me. But then he says, he that has my commandments and keepeth them. Well, isn't this plain today? Are we listening carefully? He said, he that has my commandments and keepeth them, he it is that what? Now see, I didn't say that. He's saying this. He said, if you keep my commandments, you love me. Wow. Is that not saying, if you want to be my wife, my husband, you have to love me? Is that not saying the same thing? Then he says, and he that loveth me shall be loved of my Father, and I will love him and will manifest myself unto him. Now watch this. He said, if you love me and you love my Father too, you know, when a girl get married, a boy get married, you got to love Father too. In natural life, if you're going to marry somebody, you got to love mom and dad too. Because if you don't love them, they're not going to let their daughter marry their son marry you. You have to run off to Vegas or somewhere. But he says that, and I would love him and would manifest myself into him. Now watch this. Somebody asked him a real person. Judas said unto him, not Iscariot, the one that betrayed him, but it was another one. He said, Lord, how is it that thou wilt manifest thyself unto us and not unto the world? Now that was a very powerful question right there that he asked him. Judas had been with him for 3 years. And he asked him, how you going to manifest how you going to show us who you are and not show the world who you are? Simple question, isn't it? It's a simple answer. How are you going to do that, God? How are you going to show us and not show the world? How are you going to do that? He asked him. Jesus answered and said unto him, if a man love me, that is how you're going to know the difference. Because if you love me, you're going to keep my commandments. The world says they love me, but they don't keep my commandments. But if I manifest myself to you, you will keep my commandments. In other words, let me break it down. This is what he's saying. If you love me more than you love the world, you're going to do what I tell you to do. Right? Break it on down. That's what he's saying. If you love me more than you love the world, you're going to do what I ask you to do. And that's how I will be manifested to you, because you're doing what I asked you to do. Then he says, and my Father will love him and will come unto him and make our abode with him. But this is another one, he said, and he that loved me not, keepeth not my sayings. Okay, want me to break that down for you too? Okay, I'll break it down for you. You say you love me, but you do your own dumb things. That's what he's saying. Out of your mouth you say you love me, but your heart is far from me. That's what he's saying. You tell me, I love you, Jesus, but your heart is not even there. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I tell all the young ladies, you meet this young man today and he telling you, I love you, tell him, no, you don't. My pastor, you don't love me. You don't even know me. Because if you know me, you would not be saying you love me. Right? There's very few people why they meet each other today and get married tomorrow and the marriage make it. There are some, but not many. So when that boy walk up to you and tell you at school, I love you, ask him 2 questions. Question number 1, what do you want? Question number 2, you have to go meet my pastor.
Amen.
And they won't come. They won't come. We come to an end. And Simon Peter answered and said, Jesus asked his disciples a question. Listen carefully now. Listen carefully. I know we've been here for a while this morning, but we're getting ready to shut it down now. But I want you to listen carefully. Jesus, I've come to a point in his walk with his disciples. You've come to a point where you're going to come to a point with you and your walk with him. You're going to always come to a point in your walk with God when he's going to ask you something. And it's so very, very important that you hear what God asks you. Because he don't ask us all the same question sometimes. Sometimes he asks us different things. But he will come to a point in your life where he's going to ask you something. And I want you to hear him when he asks you. But he come to Simon Peter. And Simon Peter, he asked me, he said, who do the world say that I am? He asked his disciples. Think about this morning. He asked his disciples, who do the world say that I am? And he can be asking you the same thing this morning. Who do the world tell you that I am? He asked. And Simon and they begin to tell him, well, some say you love. Some say that you're mercy. Some say that you're grace. Some say that you're long suffering. Some say that you're Mary's boy. Some say that you're Joseph's son. Some say, he asked him, and then he got to Simon Peter. And Simon Peter said, thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. In other words, you're beyond just love. You're beyond just grace. You're beyond just mercy. You're beyond just a healer. He said, you are the Son of the living God. Amen. And Jesus responded to Peter. And Jesus answered and said to him, blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood have not revealed it unto you, but my Father which is in heaven. It's going to have to come a time in your life when God going to have to reveal to you who he really is. Amen. Hallelujah. And he can't reveal it to you until you get hungry. Yes, amen. When you get hungry, he will reveal to you who he is. But until then, he just love. He's just grace. He's just mercy. He's just God. But when you get hungry, he will show you who he really is. And unfortunately, we live in a world where people are not hungry. You're not hungry for church. You're not hungry for preaching. You're not hungry for deliverance. You're not hungry to be there. You're not hungry for that. You're just satisfied. But God don't want just satisfied. God wants people that is red hot on fire for him. He don't want lukewarm or cold. When you get on fire, God will tell you who he is. He's the Son of the living God. He's life. But if you don't listen carefully, you'll miss that. Because when you realize he's the Son of the living God, you'll realize that he's fire. Not just fire, but a consuming fire. Which means that he never goes out. He's always there. He's more powerful than just love. He's more powerful than just grace and mercy. But you see, you have to listen carefully to get that. And I say unto thee, thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail. Now listen, because Peter was hungry to know who he was, he said, Peter, I'm going to give you something. I'm going to give you something, Peter. You're going to go up, over, and beyond just being a disciple. He said, you're going to be a speaker for me. You're going to be a speaker for me. You're going to represent me, Peter. Simply because you want to know who I am. Peter was fast, but Peter had a hunger in his heart to know who he was. And if you got a hunger in your heart this morning to know who he is, he will reveal himself to you. If you got a hunger in your heart because you want your life to change, then choose today life. Choose today life. Keep his command. Connect with him today. Connect to him. When you connect to him, you're going to connect to blessings. You're going to connect to long life. You're going to connect to the thing that you need the most in this life. And Peter connected to him on this day. And he said, Peter, because you did that, I'm going to give you something that the gates of hell would not prevail against. He said, I'm going to give you, and I will give unto you, and I will give unto the keys of the kingdom of heaven. And whatsoever thou shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. And the two words that we put on this thing from the very, very top, when we said, listen carefully. Someone said in the camp meeting last year, a year or so ago, I declare God's blessings and favor. I declare God's healing and resurrection. I declare God's wisdom and directions. I declare God's goodness, his grace and mercy. I declare God's favor and power over every adversary. He said, I declare this. But you can't declare this if you don't know who he is. You can't declare this if you ain't made the right choice. There's always a choice. As we have a little music, there's always a choice. There's always a choice. I'm going to say it again. There's always a choice. You know, some people say the woman get pregnant, she go, it was an accident. No, it wasn't. You made a choice. It wasn't an accident. You made a choice. Because if you'd have made the right choice, there wouldn't be no accident. Follow me this morning. The people that gonna walk out this building this morning, they're gonna walk out of this building. And when something happened to them, they're gonna get upset. But the reason why it happened was because you didn't make a choice. You made one, but it wasn't the right one. Choices are dangerous, especially if you don't seek God. Peter made a choice. And when they crucified him, he said, hey, I'm not worthy to be crucified like he was. He was more than I can ever be. All that I've done for him, I'm not equal to him. He said, crucify me upside down. Crucify me upside down because I'm not worthy to be crucified like him. I can't walk in his shoes. His mercy let me sit at the table and take communion with him. His mercy put him at my feet to wash my feet. And I'm not worthy to be crucified like he was. And my choice is that you crucified me upside down. That's my choice. And I think it's the choice of some of us that we need to come back to the Master's feet. We need to pray like we never prayed before. Because if you don't pray, you'll never get to his feet. If you don't pray and listen to his voice, the Bible says, try the spirits and see what they are. God ain't gonna send you out into sin. God ain't gonna put you in the lion's den. Because he loves you too much. So this morning, think very carefully. Listen carefully at the voices that is talking to you. Listen carefully to the voices. He said, Peter, I'm going to give you the keys. Because upon this rock, I'm going to build my church. And my church going to be built upon the keys that I gave you to set, Peter. So when I tell you to turn the keys, Peter, my church is going to begin to be built upon that rock. And Peter said, repent. Get rid of your choices. Get rid of your ideals. Get rid of your ideologies. Get rid of your sin. Get rid of you. And when you get rid of you, then I can talk to you. That's what he was saying. Get rid of you. Because if you get rid of you, Peter, then we can make the right choices. But as long as we got us, we are in danger. Choose you this day whom you gonna serve. Joshua said, but know what he said. Joshua, he didn't say, as for me, I'm gonna serve the Lord. No. Because he realized his decision was going to affect his family. So Joshua said, as for me and my house. As for me and my boys and my wife, we going to choose to serve the Lord. So see, you got to make a choice today. Listen carefully. You got to make a choice today on whom your house going to serve. Because whoever you serve, that's who your house going to serve. And it's going to affect your family. So with every head bowed, every eye closed, God asks you to talk. Talk to your people this morning, God. Talk to them this morning. I know you want them to listen carefully to what you have to say. God, we have only read your word this morning. Everything that we said and seen was in your word. And we know your word is not going to change. Your word cannot lie. And you chose us to choose life. So, Master, I'm asking you to deal with the hearts in this place this morning. Help us to renew our vows with you, God. Help us to renew our ways with you, God. For God, I know that you are a faithful, a just, and an honest God. So, Lord, I ask you to move right now in the power of your Spirit. As they sing this song, "There's no place I'd rather be." I want you all to make a recommitment to God this morning. I want you all to rededicate yourself to God this morning. As they sing that song, I want you to rededicate yourself to God. As it says, no place I'd rather be. There's no other place I'd rather be this morning than in the arms of a living God, than in the presence of a living God. There's no other place I want to be. I don't care about no other place. I don't care about anything else right now. I just want to be in the presence of a living God. That's where I want to be right now. I want to be in his presence this morning. I don't want to be nowhere else.